Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This week we will be reviewing MentFX course as voted a few weeks ago. So during this vote, Blue Mode software that was released last week won against MentFX course. So this week we are doing MentFX course, and then next week we will be reviewing Ryan Cates' code system, and after that we'll go into the Red Dragon EA. So right here you can see the MentFX YouTube channel. And on this YouTube channel there is quite a bit of free content, so if you'd like to check that out, you're more than welcome to. The thing that we are going to be reviewing today is not the free YouTube channel but the paid course. And as you can see over here, the course bundled with a bunch of other things is worth $100 per month, which is quite expensive, and we will be getting into if it's worth it or not to pay that money. After clicking the Google Drive link, you will be presented with all of these folders. We will be going through each and every one and seeing what is the most important thing in each of these folders. So starting off with section number 1, the structure videos. So from this, the creator of the MentFX private course explains how to look at the market structure. A basic rundown would be looking for the higher highs and higher lows when you are trying to get into a buy position, and the lower highs and lower lows when you're looking for a selling position. And this is pretty standard in any course, so I won't really be judging their delivery on this part since it's a mandatory thing that you have to include, and there's not much you can do differently from other people. But when you take it on their own, MentFX does a good job at explaining what you should be looking for in the market. That being said, you'd only really need to watch videos 1 and 2. Videos 3, 4 and 5 are more practical examples where you look at the charts. 1 and 2 are more explanation. So I would watch 1 and 2 and then maybe 3 to see what it looks like on the actual chart. Moving on to section 2. In section 2 we deal with supply and demand. Supply and demand zones are observable areas on your charts where the price will retest and then reject from, or it will break through and then retest again. So when you're trading against something like a bank would have their orders in the supply and demand zones. So once you hit a demand zone, the bank orders will trigger, and that will move the market back to the upside for a buy entry. And once you hit the supply zone, that's where sells are triggered, and that pushes the market back to the downside. You don't really know what happens behind the scenes, you just need to know how to spot them. So in these videos over here, MentFX does explain where supply and demand zones are, and they do give a bit of extra tips as to how to find zones that are actually viable. This folder stood out to me specifically since the way that they explained it was quite simple, but the knowledge that you gain from it is quite vast. So if you don't watch any of the other files, you should still give this one a watch. The most important videos in this section would be videos number 1 and number 6, since number 1 gives the explanation as to what you should be looking for, and number 6 does give a very detailed example as to how you would spot these zones. And since it's not like a higher high or higher low as in the structure videos, you really do need a practical example to see which bars or which points you need to draw these zones on, since these zones do cover a larger area than just one bar. It is more of a guess the area sort of thing. So you do need to see a practical example of it to understand how to draw them on your chart. Moving on to section 3. So now we delve into what MentFX structures his entire trading strategy around, and that's the Wycoff Strategy. The Wycoff Strategy is where you believe that the market works in 4 stages. accumulation, the markup, and the distribution, and then the markdown. So accumulation would be where the market is ranging or a sideways market, and then right before your markup there would be something called the spring. The spring would either go below where the market was ranging or above where it was ranging, and then straight after that there would be a markup or a markdown. So the markdown would occur after a spring that occurs above your accumulation point, and then a markup would occur when there's a spring below where the market was accumulating, and then the market would go to the upside. So this takes the principles of higher highs and higher lows and then applies it to a different strategy as well. So these videos over here give a detailed explanation as to how the Wycoff strategy works in videos 1 and 2, and then from videos 3, 4, 5 and 6 they go through practical examples as well. And for these sorts of videos, the same like with the supply and demand videos, you would need to watch at least one of the other 4 videos that are in this file to understand fully what he means when he explains the Wycoff strategy, since it is something that you need to see practically done on a chart. For a general overview of how they explain these concepts in the course, it's pretty simple and they don't go into much depth during the explanation, but then the depth is entered into when they do the practical examples, and I think that is a very good way of teaching people how to use a specific strategy in order to trade. Moving on to section number 4. These are just compilations of what you saw previously. So the structure video, supply and demand video, the Wyckoff video. You can use this as a sort of blueprint that you are going to use when you are looking at the charts. So for buys, you would look for this sort of build up. For sells, you would look for this sort of build up, and you can see the accumulation and then the spring and then the markdown and markups in these. You would understand better what I am talking about if you were to watch the videos on the Wycoff strategy that MentFX has in this course. On to section number 5, and these are the webinars. So most courses have these, and these are just online community sort of sharing where the host, which would be MentFX, speaks to his community and gives them tips and tricks of his personal trading strategy. These videos are quite long, ranging from an hour to an hour and a half, and I would only recommend watching these if you want to see everything else that you learned be applied. So if you have any further questions, you will be watching these webinars, but they are quite long, so you don't really need to be watching them. The same would go for the backtesting and live trading sections. So if you do feel like you would like to employ the Wycoff strategy, and then you would watch sections 5, 6 and 7, since those videos in there are quite long and very detailed. But if you don't, then you shouldn't really bother watching those videos. So if we were to take a look at the overall rating of this course, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. I give it this rating because the explanations are quite simple, so anyone can use this course to further their knowledge, whether you are a beginner or someone that has been in the trading space already. The only thing that I don't really like about the course is that it scopes into one particular strategy, that is the Wycoff strategy. So if you were not a person that wanted to use that sort of strategy, and then this course has a whole section dedicated to it, so you would feel like you lost a bit of your money in that aspect. But if you were looking for something a bit new, and then that would be good for you. So it all kind of depends on the person, so that's why this gets a 7.5 out of 10 from me. We are now over at the Forex Reviews SA YouTube channel. If you want more content such as this, please subscribe. if you want to get the MentFX course, and then all you need to do is click on the way to install different files in MT4 video, and then in the description of that video you'll find the Google Drive link that will direct you to the MentFX course. Thank you for watching this week's video. Goodbye.